Hi, this is Lindsay Coughlin, and for my final project in art history, I'm doing a presentation on Homunculus Jesus. So, to start, we need to find out what homunculus really means. The word itself actually means a small human, a lot of times little man. So it's seen predominantly throughout the Byzantine Empire and the Middle Ages. And a lot of artists used it as their rendition of Jesus, who is actually depicted here in this picture. And a lot of people couldn't afford family photos at the time, so most of the depictions of children were as homunculus. So even if you were wealthy and could afford a family photo, a lot of times your baby actually looked like a little adult as opposed to a cute baby, like something we would think of today. And this picture, this is only a clip of it next to it, but you can see very easily that this does not look like a little baby. His hairline is receding, for starters. The face is very full here. The expressions are almost somber and even a little bit sad. Definitely very adult feeling, not like a little baby. So, kind of what I was talking about in the last slide, there's some very specific, easy to see characteristics of homunculus Jesus in all these art pieces. So, looking here, you can tell Jesus has pretty much no facial expression. That's pretty common. If there is a facial expression, it's usually almost a little grimace, kind of sorrowful a little bit. And usually he will have an adult hair pattern. So this picture is a Byzantine work, and here he has a full head of hair, but like in the last one, you could see he actually had some male pattern balding. And this one, no baby is born with that much hair. That is like the hair of a full grown man. The physique is usually muscular and very proportionate. So you can tell that in the arms and hands. Usually babies kind of seem stout in stature because their heads are kind of big. They're a little awkward. Their legs are real chubby. But in these pictures of Jesus as homunculus, like I said, it's literally like an adult got stuck into a shrinky dink. So the proportions of the arms and legs, even the hands, like you can see in this pose, no baby has dexterity of their fingers like that. Usually he was adorned in religious robing or clothing, so this is obviously something that would be very extravagant. Pretty much no baby other than a royal baby would be dressed up in something like this at the time. For reference, the name of this picture is Virgin Mary and Infant Jesus. It's in the Real Monastery in Bulgaria. So this would have been right in the middle of that Byzantine Empire because that spanned from like the 5th to the 14th century. So talking more about Byzantine art and Christianity, the common theme of Byzantine art is that it is symbolic. It's meant to be more abstract, whereas previously it was more naturalistic. So here you can see that, Mary, her nose, her face, the way that she's sitting with Jesus, it's almost like they're holy, they're wise. You're almost supposed to feel reverent when you look at the picture of the paintings. Jesus's hands, that's a symbol of the Holy Trinity when he has the two fingers, and you can see here like the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. So all these things are symbolic. As I said in the last slide, the Byzantine Empire lasted from about the 4th to 15th century, and almost all of the art from the Byzantine Empire centers around religion, obviously Christianity. And the church used this intentionally. It's almost like a way that they could teach theology and people could understand symbolically. So it's a way for them to basically preach to people through art. So you can see here even the symbolism of the crown. He is king. Mary is always dressed very, very conservatively because Jesus was born of a virgin, so Mary is supposed to be very holy, very pure, very clean, and these are all things that come across in this symbolicism of Byzantine art. So at some point, babies basically have to get cute again. They can't stay spooky and scary forever. So just for a quick example, this is my daughter, Grace. She's, I think, around 9 months old in this picture. And can you imagine if I paid for someone to do a beautiful painting of her and that's what it looked like? I would not be a big fan of that. So it's for the simple reason I was saying before that people got sick of seeing babies painted in a way that was very adult-like. The Middle Ages spur on the Renaissance, and more people begin commissioning art. They can afford it. It's not just for churches anymore. It's for people, still slightly wealthier, to paint their families, paint their babies, paint pictures of them doing things. And because of that, realism takes over. So as you can see in this Renaissance painting, the baby's face goes back to being natural, beautiful. The legs, like I was saying before, are a little chunky. He's not doing any crazy poses with his hand. His face is soft. The expression, too, in Mary, you can see she's gazing down and looking lovingly at her child, as opposed to staring off very stoically into the distance or straight ahead at what would be like a camera or point of view. The Christian influence of Jesus dying for their sins kind of changed the way that people saw babies. So before, where Jesus in Byzantine and Middle Age art was that he was unchanged and he was perfect the way he was, people started to realize that babies are perfect in their own way because of their innocence and they're a bit naive. They kind of are they haven't committed any sins yet. So they wanted to show that in their realism of the paintings in the way that they were much softer than they were before. This painting is called Tempi Madonna, and it's by Raphael, so that was definitely in the thick of the Renaissance. And in conclusion, Homunculus is important to art history because it really helps us better understand how symbolicism, especially of Jesus and other religious things during the time, are very important, and that the realistic portrayals of Jesus that came after are important too. But there's a lot of symbolic things in that Byzantine and Middle Age art. Something I didn't show here, but in a lot of paintings there were doves that symbolized the Holy Spirit, and obviously Jesus being a little man, being that he is perfect the way he is. He does not need to change. He was born the Son of God, so he should be that way throughout the entire duration of his life. And it shows the importance of Christianity during those Middle Ages and throughout the Byzantine Empire, because it was a way to control people and keep them in touch with Christianity and who Jesus was, and that he is perfect. He's the Son of God. There's a lot of depictions of Mary and Jesus, and there's a lot of iconography that goes throughout Christianity at the time, like I was saying with the doves. Again, here in Mary's face, you can see most people that are sitting with their child aren't staring off into the distance, almost with like a blank expression. She almost looks like she's in some type of psychosis. Most people, if you were doing more realistic, she would be looking down lovingly at her child, but instead it's Jesus that's actually like reaching out to touch her. And basically, all art really does have its place in history, even if it is a very creepy looking man baby. It means something. So it's important for people to learn about pieces of art that now may seem not normal or not something we would care to have painted today. Doesn't mean that it doesn't have its important place in history. This painting is called Madonna and Child by Duccio di Bonsegna. Sorry if I butchered that pronunciation, but this is a painting that I found from the Met. So thank you very much for listening to my presentation. This is a bibliography. In case you want to look more, just pause the film. I know it's a little bit small here, but thanks for listening, and that is Homunculus Jesus.